going through life. Then you would have a population where due to disabilities and other things, our quality of life will go down. For example, if you are living, if you are sitting in a wheelchair, if you have got a broken leg, if you have got maybe one eye that's there for as long as humans live, because health is going to be one of those major things. And so you may have heard of the fourth industrial revolution.
Yes.
So that's a big buzzword, and the health is going to play a huge role in that, where people are going to receive medical solutions. You are on a mobile phone, you will be able to diagnose some diseases. So even if you are doing electronics, or even if you are doing mechanical or other disciplines, biomedical is going to be an important area that you can make a contribution in. So for me, if you are thinking about doing biomedical engineering, by all means, do your research and in the sense understand. In Sri Lanka itself, right now we may not have a huge industry, but if you look at the global trend, and if you look at what is happening also in Asia, where a lot of these the industries are actually coming up, a lot of the, I suppose, the funding and the money is now transferring to Asia. A lot of the development is happening in Asia. Hospitals and other sort of healthcare providers are sort of setting up shop here. Sri Lanka, there's a big investment into health, and if you look at smart hospitals and all that, so the future for biomedical engineering is opening up. And so getting in here and then getting yourself qualified definitely is, I think, an investment for the future.
Thank you, sir. So just one more step on that same question. We have students from all backgrounds, and a lot of them think about, will they be able to get a job at the end of the day? What could you comment about this with regards to biomedical engineering?
Being a new industry or an area in Sri Lanka, that has always been a challenge that we had to face, even from as teachers, as lecturers, and that has been a concern for us as well. So we have to be realistic and be honest about that. When we graduated our first batch 2 years ago, we didn't find everybody getting a biomedical job, and for some of them I think it was a case of them jumping at the first opportunity they got in a different area. But that was a bit of a concern. There is not a big industry, what they can do, and so on and so forth. But since then there have been a number of things that have kind of opened up. There are a lot more startups now, yes, focusing on biomedical engineering sort of solutions. I think even from our department, Effective Solutions is one such startup, yes, where they focus on biomedical engineering solutions. So added to that, I think, as I mentioned, when hospitals get accredited to be of international standard, they are going to require to have a biomedical engineer position designated into each of those hospitals. So another way that jobs will actually be created. And so Sri Lanka is definitely moving in that. So there will be, so you won't be able to just get somebody who can do technical work and then call them an engineer anymore. Additionally, research-wise, this is also an area that is really growing. Now, especially if you take countries like the UK, there are certain funding grants that they can only access if they have a developing world partner. So we have been fortunate enough to have a collaboration with Imperial College London in a biomedical engineering area, whereby funds are given here to facilitate research and also to pay for PhD students. So in terms of funding as well, new opportunities are opening up. And some of from our second batch, I know we have got graduates now who are doing their higher studies, their PhDs, in foreign countries. So so those opportunities, I believe, are happening. We as staff do our level best as well to be at the end of providing solutions by way of consultancies and other things, connecting with medical faculties, and trying to now also develop devices for commercialization. So all these things, I believe, in the next few years is going to create a better ecosystem, and we'll be able to hopefully attract foreign investment as well, and through that I believe this industry will go forward. So I wouldn't say we would have 100 jobs straight away, but I think if we develop it properly, there will be opportunities for many people.
Thank you very much. So I believe ENTC had probably the same thing 50 years ago when we started off. So, talking about research, would you mind telling us a little bit about the research you do here at the department?
Okay, so personally, I think my research has focused mainly on this area called biomechanics. So biomechanics is that area that actually focuses on human movement. Right? So human movement falls under many different areas. So if you take, for example, sports, something like cricket, for example, detecting illegal throwing, for example, or when you are a sports person, you might actually have injuries. What contribute to certain injuries? Are you able to solve them through engineering means or through better technology, or understand the mechanism of injury? So those are some areas that I have been doing research on, but also developing technology or to be able to measure human movement using what we call IMU or inertial measurement sensors is another area. So through that we have been able to do some interesting work in different areas of sport, including rehabilitation, that sort of thing. Another area I've been looking at is the biomechanics of my interest is actually in the spine, but coming here we had to look at the biomechanics of the foot, understanding what actually happens during diabetes. Now a doctor would look at diabetes from a very clinical way. Engineer would look at the foot as a structure that's responsible for holding mainly your weight, and what actually happens during disease and all that, what goes on internally that could change or lead to ulceration or to amputation, something like that. So you can study it from an engineer's sort of perspective. We have also been involved in developing a type of a gel that we can actually use for diabetic insoles. So that requires me to work with people from polymer chemistry. Sensors, I work with people from essentially electronics. For biomechanics, I had to work with people who basically come from a mechanical engineering background. So I've had to kind of, I suppose, work in with different expertise to provide solutions in these different areas.
So biomedical basically has a large amount of research ongoing here, as we saw in most of our stalls as well.
There are new areas, and my colleagues, Dr. Anjula, Dr. Nuan, even our colleagues from mechanical engineering, they are doing some very interesting work in different areas. So all that I think is adding to the research that we are kind of bringing out of Sri Lanka, which is an important thing.
So in short, we could say the road ahead looks very positive for biomedical engineering here.
It looks promising, I would say. But we do need to have more research, ongoing research that would help us to kind of really develop this area.
Definitely. So talking more about the department, what would you say or would you suggest as ways this department could improve here in Moratuwa in the sense of the biomedical engineering department? Speaking
from biomedical engineering perspective alone, it's not a discipline that can exist by itself. It's a evolving area, which means you have to keep upgrading your knowledge. So you can't be focused on a particular set of teaching slides, if you know what I mean. Part of biomedical engineering is about actual problem solving. So you have to start from the problem and work out exactly the approach you are going to take, and therefore what sort of disciplines can help, right? Rather than thinking of in a silo, we are not going to get electronic based problems in the human body. We are not going to get mechanical based problems in the human body. It's up to us to figure that out. So my main message would be to say we can't work alone. As biomedical engineers, we really need to understand the human body or the problem from so many different perspectives. Engineers, even if you work with other engineers, there is still a particular way we look at the human body. When we have to talk to doctors, we have to talk to clinicians, they look at it from a very different point. So for us to move forward, these collaborations have to form very, very strongly. Secondly, what I would say is I think we do need to get a more focus on the type of research that we do. Because this is an area, as I said, you can't go by a set of theories and then leave it at that. We have to have ongoing research, and the research that we do in overseas in other countries might not sometimes be applicable to our general population. So we need to have local research that's going. But these research collaborations need to come from, we have to partner with better universities. When I say better, more experienced universities elsewhere, so that our quality of research can also go up to another level. So I always welcome opportunities we have to work with overseas researchers, because they have been at this game for a very, very long time. They also have the equipment and they have the know-how, and we need to